Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day, whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. I'm glad you're here. Today we've got kind of a unique video and it's all about Liong Mah. Liong Mah Designs and my experience with the brand, with the man, with the designs, and quite honestly to tell you why these three knives that I got at different times in my collecting are this knife, spoiler alert, is my number one in my entire collection. If I had to only choose one knife, it would be the Liong Mah Field Duty EDC. This knife I was looking at today, this knife would be number 5 in my total collection. 1, 5, 8. And those means all three of these Liong Mahs that I have, which are the Field Duty, or excuse me, the Liong Mah KUF 3.0, the small kitchen utility folder in LMAX. That's number 8. My number 1 and done is the LMAX Field Duty EDC. My number 4 is the Liong Mah Field Duty folder. Guys, these knives, and I apologize for Tippy, she's going to come check them out too. These guys all serve a different purpose, but they have things that characteristics that they keep into common that make them all extremely, extremely enjoyable by me, by the way that I use a knife. So you'll notice here on the KUF 3.0, it's got a unibody construction where you've got this G10, solid piece of G10 milled in, joined up with this titanium. The same construction is with the Liong Mah Field Duty EDC. You've got this unibody or monoblock G10 construction with the titanium lock side. And then on this beautiful liner lock EDC folder that added a front flipper, you've got this cross-cut Arctic carbon fiber. You've got this wire tumbled bolster. You've got this dynamite action and this liner lock that just is the bee's knees. This knife also has a front flipper. As you guys know, I'm not a big fan of the front flipper. However, it works very well for those of you who are. I'm more of a middle finger flick guy or a thumb flick guy. And when it really comes down to it, a middle finger flick guy. So let's talk about the first and most expensive knife that I brought into my collection back in 2021, and that would have been the Liong Mah Field Duty EDC. This is a knife that at the time Lefty EDC had been talking about, ranting about. Kyle had been talking about it. It was a knife that had a lot of hype, and deservedly so. And when this knife became available, this is when I was a young green pea and I was influenced by a lot of different things. And those influences have not led me wrong yet because I don't look at just what is being said. I look at how it's being said. So anyway, it led me to, I want to say, River's Edge Cutlery or DLT Trading Company, where I picked this knife up. It came in and it was instantly something unlike any other knives in my collection. At the time, I have to go back and almost look, but I had a lot of very good knives, but none that had crossed the, $360 range. But I could instantly feel the fit and finish. I could feel the detent. I could feel the way that the blade geometry is set up to be a cutter. I love the way it feels in my hand. The sizing is absolutely perfect. I find it very elegant. More importantly, I find it very usable. For anything that I can throw at it EDC wise, I feel comfortable that this knife is up for the task. That's why when I look at everything that I love about all my knives, and I have to say, if there could only be one, which knife would it be? And for me, today, and this has been this way for the last 2 years, it's the Liong Mah Field Duty EDC. Fantastic knife. About 3 months later, When I recovered a little bit from that purchase, I came across the KUF 3.0, or the little cuff. Totally different knife, kind of designed as a kitchen utility folder. I'm not a kitchen utility folder guy, so I used it kind of as a nice sheep's foot slicer utility cut EDC knife, because it does come in a little bit smaller even than my field duty EDC. So it's more narrow and about a ½ inch shorter. So I found this knife to possess the same detent, just on a smaller package. Very, very, what would I call it? Not deployable, but it kicks out. It's got a very good detent, very good drop. It's also an LMAX. I love the blade. I love the way the blade's shaped. It's shaped for cutting, for food prepping, you name it. It's pretty well set up to cut, because it is very thin behind the edge in LMAX, and it is a very, very nice grind blade geometry. But both of these knives are set up in LMAX. So fast forward a little over a year or two, I always knew the Field Duty 4, which I'd seen and held, was a little bit larger knife than I would have been altogether interested in. Oh, and by the way, the Field Duty, or the Liong Mah KUF, KUF, when I was going through my top 20 knives, this one's number 8. This one's number 1. And this one's number 4. It could be number 3. Right now, this is really 3, 4. And I haven't had this knife that long, guys. So I remember when the Field Duties first came in, I had a lot of friends that were in on pre-orders. There were a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of things that people didn't understand, a lot of things that just took a little time to get worked out and settled out. And during that time, unfortunately, and if I'd been in on the pre-order, I might have felt the same way, but there were a lot of people that just kind of got over the knife because of the experience. Fast forward to Blade Show 2023. One of the people I wanted to see at Blade Show 2023 was Liong. I consider Liong a friend, and went by the booth. He wasn't there, but some of these knives were there. So I picked one up. It wasn't a carbon fiber, it was a micarta. And the first thing I did was check to see if there was any of the splintering that Stevie had shown in his video, where they had come in at the wrong side, and it looked much cleaner. And the gentleman at the booth did say that these had come back. There had been some modifications made. These were the ones that had been returned from Riyadh after they'd been sent to have stiffer detents, which for me, it was harder for me to front flip it, but I can definitely feel it in that detent that I can no longer fail, that I cannot, even holding it upside down, get it to anywhere come close to shaking out. So the detent on this knife, regardless of what a horrible experience it was waiting, detent's strong. And there were other things, I think, that affected the timing of the knives being delivered. With COVID and China and how lockdowns were treated over there, the timing couldn't have been worse. And I know other people were getting knives through that same time, but in all truth, we don't know when the orders were placed. We don't know when the orders were promised. We don't know if they were behind or not. All I can say is I gave this knife another chance at Blade Show. And when I was at Blade Show talking to Liong, I said, Liong, after Blade Show, if you still got some of these available, I'd be very interested in checking one out if you send it to me. And there's a very good chance I'll buy it. I didn't think that he would have any to send out because he was getting so overrun at Blade Show. About 3 weeks later, this knife showed up, and I assumed it was going to be a copy from Blade Show, one that had already been broken in, that had already been opened. And I'll tell you guys, I was a little bit sick when I opened it up, and the Riot bag was still fully intact. I had to cut it, which Leon probably knew that would be a psychological step in the right direction of me becoming the owner of this knife. But this knife is in S90V. It is not big like the 4.0 is big. If I look at it next to my Field Duty EDC, it's a little wider, a little longer, but a gorgeous comfortable, multi-handle knife. Um, Again, the S90V, the liner lock makes it friendly both left-handed and right-handed. The crosscut carbon fiber is stunning. The wire washed, tumbled bolsters are out of the mind. The satin S90V blade, just beautiful. Whereas I love my stonewashed blade on my LMAX, and I love the stonewashed blade on the KUF 3.0. But guys, these are three knives that the sum of the whole is actually greater than the individual parts. Yes, this is number one. Yes, this is number three or four, four or three. And yes, this is number 8. But if I look at a group of knives that I have to grab and go, and I've got a lot of groups of knives that I have to grab and go from one maker, I'm not sure if I wouldn't grab these 3 knives, because I think they would cover almost everything I needed in the field. I'd of course grab a fixed blade too, because these would be my folders. But yeah, guys, Liong Mah, if you're ever on NAF sale, if you ever come across a field duty EDC, which is either going to be in G10, it's going to be in carbon fiber, monoblock construction, or it's going to be in titanium, it is an absolute winner. These are still available, the Liong Mah field duty folders. Try one of these out. Don't buy into the negative hype. There was negative hype. There were issues. The issues were corrected. In my opinion, this knife has far exceeded my expectations. I expected to take a look at it, talk about it, do a review on it. This is the 3rd review, including an unboxing I've done on it, and it is part of my collection now. And I didn't, between you and me, need to make that kind of investment. But again, I love the knife. I don't know when it's going to come around again. And these 2 knives right here, and I'm not taking anything away from the field duty or the KUF, but these are a banging pair. The only thing I wish, if I could wish anything on this knife, a little narrower hole here, and do away with the front flipper so it looks very similar to this. And again, that's minor, guys. That's not something that matters. That's not something that's going to make a difference in the way the knife performs, the way the knife cuts. But guys, not only a fantastic designer, someone who knows when they're designing a knife what each iteration is going to affect on that knife in other areas, and someone who is tuned in to his customer in terms of listening to what they're after. Eutectic is a great, I think, pointing in that direction, where he offers some budget knives that fit the same type of ergonomics and usefulness as his premium knives. But guys, just a very nice guy. I mean, Liong Mah is courteous. He's open to talk about his knives. He's open to talk about problems. Yes, he gets upset, like a lot of people get upset. And that's something else that I want the community to get able to get by and realize that certain times, certain things are going to come up and we're not going to handle it the best way. We're not going to be able to breathe for 20 minutes before we have to make a rebuttal to something that goes on. And neither side there. It's just those things are going to happen. People are going to blow up. They're going to say things that they wish they didn't say. And hopefully someday those 2 guys will get together and just make it right. Just say, yeah, I was out of line. I should not have said that. And, that's all I would love to hear Leon say to Jared. And I'd maybe like to hear Jared say, Leon, I appreciate that. I apologize for just being honest about my thoughts of the knife, whatever the case may be, because they're both great guys. And I don't want anybody to be on a witch hunt for Liong Mah, only because yes, he's a friend of mine, and yes, I think he's a very fine human being and always has been to me. But because the knives that he has put in front of me, usually because of that goddamn Kevin Lefty EDC, but made me fall in love with. And the first time he was on Lefty EDC's show, and I kind of got to know his personality, I knew that there was something special about the knives. I knew there was something special about the knives when I acquired the knives. I thought I knew there was something special about the knives when I was going in to get the knives. But since I've had the knives, since I've lived with the knives, these are what I call forever knives. These will have to be lost or they will be passed down to my daughter or her husband if they get married, because I absolutely love these. I absolutely think no matter what I bring into my collection, and I've got some bangers coming in right now, guys. It's just kind of been weird. But when it comes back to what's John going to grab to put in his pocket, to put in his khakis, in case he needs to cut something today, guys, you can't lose with a Liong Mah, either a field duty or a, um, a KUF 3.0 or a KUF full size. They're great knives that have specific tasks that they're supposed to complete, from a kitchen knife to an all-purpose knife. But I can tell you, as an urban EDC knife that might lend you to a lot of different tasks, not one of these knives is going to leave you high and dry. The KUF is on the smaller size. It's 3.0. Of course, this knife's made in a bigger version as well. I think if it was going to be my ride or die, even though I say this is my number one, I might have to pick up number three here because it's just such a good knife. All three of these are wonderful knives. All three of these, I will put my reputation and I will put my Javon's seal of approval behind any one of these knives. I love them that much. I feel that strongly about them. I tried to talk my little brother into getting these when they were available. He's not quite a knife guy. He makes 20 times the amount of money I make, so for him it would have been nothing. He just didn't see the value in it, and I get it. But I was recommending it to him because it's a great knife. That's before I owned either of these. But guys, thank you for checking out my video on Liong Mah, what he means to me, what his knives mean to me. And they are, even though I have more expensive knives in my collection, these are the ones I'm most proud of. These are the ones I love the most. If it comes down to it, and a lot of people say, John, those are old knives. If it's not broken, guys, don't fix it. And there's some wonderful knives out there that I've not had the chance to experience that could change some of this, but I do hang out and try a lot of different knives. Um, I've tried the Koenig Arius. I haven't tried the Mini. I've tried the Rotten Designs Evo. 3.0, I really like that knife. That would be definitely in the top 5, maybe top 10. The Arius full size bounced out of my top 10 after I used it for a week. But I can tell you, I go back to these knives. And most people like me, ADHD, addict, typically get bored with a knife after a while. In my past, I do. That's why I give so many away. Not because they're not good knives anymore, just because I'm not carrying them. Guys, these knives still get carried all the time. I love them. I love Liong Mah. I love what he brings to the market. I love the fact that he's always open to come on and talk to you guys, to all of us, about what he's planning, what he's thinking, why he does what he does. And I want y'all to feel like I do, that he's a friend of the community. And he's definitely focused in on making high-end knives. So guys, and with Eutectic, he's going to be making some value bangers too. So keep your eyes open. Keep looking out for the guy or gal to your left, please. Keep looking out for that guy or gal to your right. Look out for one another. Go forward, love in your heart. Choose debate, not hate. Thank you, thank you, thank you to channel members. And if you haven't had a chance and you might be inclined, please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon. It won't take you a second. It won't cost you a penny, and it'll make me super happy. And hopefully it'll notify you of a super cool video that you've been wanting to see that I just happen to upload tomorrow. Guys, I love you all. Have a fantastic night. Have a fantastic Saturday morning. Peace.